is up there too. There's just a genuine debate about this. I was in Tel Aviv last week, and the Israeli National Security Advisor, Amidrol, said he just was genuinely unsure whether Obama was engaged in a strategic shift towards a new rapprochement with Iran in the region, a long-term partnership, because it sees Iran as the strong horse and it needs some kind of stability in the region, or whether that's not happening. The serious American foreign policy people who think it could be either way. One thing I would say is that, for me, the idea that the Iranian regime has been transformed in any way has no evidence base, really, in terms of its internal repression and its external foreign policy, in terms of the projection of force to try and create an Iranian Shia crescent hegemonic in the region. To me, all the evidence seems to point to it's still as kind of ambitious in terms of what it wants to do, and its rhetoric about Israel is completely unaffected. Its internal repression in terms of just simply the use of the death penalty is, since Rouhani's come in, is increased, not decreased. So I think any deal which takes for granted the idea that Iran is going to reform is a bad one. Now, Obama would say nothing's taken for granted. The deal puts Iran a year away from breakout, which we can deal with, and it puts them. It's a 10-year deal, in which time there's time to work with the regime for change to happen. So Israel feels particularly strongly about it because, as it says, it's a security problem for America. It's a survival problem for Israel. So there's a huge debate about it. I can't say.
For more information, you can go on the Parliament Committee website.
Sorry?
For more information, they could go on the Parliament Committee website.
Yeah, just punch my name, Foreign Affairs Select Committee Iran.
Yeah.
It's that hearing. So.
I want to just briefly comment on the question. The question was quite specific, as I recall it. You asked what would the effect be of these negotiations with Iran on the Israel-Palestine conflict.
Yeah.
In my opinion, probably next to zero. I think you have to, in this case, I would take President Obama at his word, which is to say, he said that the U.S.-Israeli alliance remains strong. There is a difference with this, what else can you call him, with this maniac who currently is the head of state in Israel. But it's not going to affect the long-term relationship, in my opinion, between the U.S. and Israel, and it's not going to have an impact on the United States strongly differing with Israel on the resolution of the Israel-Palestine conflict. The only point I would make is that probably the only other point I would make is the major demonizer of Israel is Israel. You have a lunatic state headed by a lunatic prime minister who is not allowing for any negotiations with Iran. And really on the basis of complete ignorance. That's not my opinion. Secretary of State John Kerry, he said last week, why is this guy denouncing negotiations when he doesn't know the details of the negotiations? The White House press aide said this past week, if you take Netanyahu's position literally, the only option is war. Now I ask you, do we need another war in the Middle East? No. Was Iraq such a flaming success that we need to be repeated with Iran? No. Is it not a lunatic state which now wants to go to war with Iran?
Yeah, I got a big feeling that a lot of people are going to hate me after this event, but I would try to get across to all of you in terms of questions. So don't worry if I don't ask you now. The gentleman up there has been holding his hand for quite a while. Yeah. Let me just select the other two. Can I get some female hands, please? Okay, I'll give you the gentleman there. I was going to come to you.
I'm sorry, sir.
Up there. Don't worry, I will come around to all of you. Okay, this gentleman there, please try to talk up, say your name and the question. Keep it short if you can, please.
Hi, my name's Ian. I thought the discussion on anti-Semitism was very interesting. I didn't know we were going to have that discussion necessarily tonight. But you know, I think the peace movement in Britain, you know, shouldn't dismiss out of hand the idea of a rise in anti-Semitism. At least I don't think we should spend too much time dismissing it. You know, let's have a proper discussion about it. I didn't think, as I say, tonight was primarily going to be about that. And I think the other way of responding, the peace movement should respond to anti-Semitism, the charge of anti-Semitism, is by being consistent. So if we're going to talk about Israeli war crimes, we also need to talk about British war crimes. You know, as was just mentioned, you know, the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq and Libya, you know, these are things that the British government have been involved in. And we know that in the Israel and Palestine conflict, that Britain isn't a neutral party. We're backing one side in this conflict. We're backing Israel, the nuclear power, the 5th largest military power in the world. So my question was, is our role in Britain, surely our role in Britain, is to do something about that relationship with Israel. We need to play a peaceful role in this conflict, not backing one side, the most powerful side, backing the occupier. We should also be supporting the Palestinians.
So please.
You brought up Gaza many times. If Israel wanted to wipe out Gaza with the amount of weaponry that it's used in the last few years, they would have wiped Gaza off the map. But not too many people have died in comparison to other conflicts. It's a very
Right. Just get to the question, please.
aware of the fact that there's a lot of building material going into Gaza from Israel. Are you aware that there's a border called Egypt, which Israel does not control? I think you might have forgotten about that totally, if you could just inform me of that. And also, water. Israel doesn't control Gaza's water, or can you tell me otherwise? And also, as far as occupation goes, as far as the Geneva Convention goes, if you want to go that way, have you read it? Because as far as I'm aware, it says you can't be in occupation if you don't control the inner workings of a country. And Israel does not control.
Please, everyone, please. Okay, can I ask you to wrap up? So is that your question, sir? Okay. He'll answer it.
How do you define occupation? Because occupation means controlling the inside of the country.
Thank you, sir. Okay, can I just please just reiterate, no more, I've taken the decision to take no more statements, so only questions, please, yeah? For 2 reasons. One, because we need to make sure that we're controlling the event. And secondly, we're limiting for time, so we need to get, and if everyone wants to get a voice, so please, sir, please, no, sorry, so I have to take a question. Sir, please. Please, if, okay. Okay. Can I get the lady's question up there, please?
Yeah, it seems to me that in the horror that was Protective Edge, to see the